moment we tried to get distribution, everyone tried to convince us to take out a lot of material, change the ending, and the usual, you know, the expected things that from distributors, that the kind of complaints that you get from people that want to distribute a movie for the purposes of making money. But we stuck to it, and we finally got a distributor who ripped us off but showed the movie. So, you know, I don't know whether to complain or to be thankful. You know, I have never really... There's all this sort of myth and legend that's risen about how much we were ripped off, and all that. God knows, I haven't been able to figure it out, but you know, there are several of us that have gotten careers out of it, and it's been a very lucky thing. So I never sort of look back and complain about the way we were treated, because the film got a pretty fair shake.
Probably the most groundbreaking and influential aspect of the movie is its ironic and unhappy ending. Everyone dies. I asked Romero how he felt today about the new realism he brought to screen violence.
When On the Waterfront came out, everyone was in shock because he told the priest to go to hell, you know. And I just thought that, in retrospect, gradually, that, well, we were sort of just one more indication of time moving on, and that, you know, couldn't wait for them. Remember when they started to say shit, and then couldn't wait for the day when you could say fuck. And, you know, just because it all seems so silly to me that why not? You know?
But do you think that kind of progress is always a good thing? Because now the kind of trend, which to an extent you started by showing people eating things and you showing the gore, has now got to the stage where often the films have very little content as opposed to that. I
don't think that's the reason, though. I mean, of course, I think that always happens. I mean, when a door first opens, you get this flood of people that misuse and abuse things. You know, but the door has to be opened, or else you'll never be able to use it properly.
Romero followed Night of the Living Dead with 3 films. There's Always Vanilla, Jack's Wife, and The Crazies, all of which were flops at the box office. So to help pay back the debt he now found himself in, Romero directed a series of sports documentaries for television while he developed the right project with which to return to the big screen, set, as always, in one of the suburbs of Pittsburgh. This is the small town of Braddock, Pennsylvania, where the once thriving steel mills that provided employment for most of the population are now shut down. It's almost as if the life has been sucked out of the local community, which made it an especially appropriate location for Romero's next foray into the world of low-budget horror. Martin, made in 1976, tells the story of a young man who might or might not be a vampire.
Nosferatu. Nosferatu.
Reside ergo in nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritu et Sancti.
Vampire. First, I will save your soul. Then, I will destroy you.
Tony Buba, whose house this belongs to, and his family, his grandmother lives in this house, and we shot a great portion of Martin here in this house. And we were in the 3rd floor attic where Martin slept. And she was quite concerned that we had a fondness for one another. And she was quite concerned and wasn't at all too sure exactly what they were doing to me up there.
And she had good reason to be worried, as Martin marked the first collaboration between Romero and the most sought-after special effects man in the business, fellow Pittsburghian Tom Savini.
This guy started out as a normal person. He reaches up and through some mystical Egyptian curse, he melts down. We had smoke and bubbles coming out, and his eyes exploded, and he screams in pain. The real actor was below with his real hands doing all this when he fell apart, you know. This is what's left of him, and he has all this congealed blood, so he's a little sticky right now.
Where do you keep these things? Do you have any of this stuff at home?
Oh, these are all in my bedroom, yeah. My daughter plays with Lizzie. My daughter's about as tall as Lizzie, and she plays with her occasionally.
What does your wife think about all this?
You know, my wife is not impressed. She'd rather have a normal bedroom, I think.
That first read you get on him is absolutely true. I mean, he's so energetic and so responsive and so in love with the work that it's very hard to deny Tom, you know. And we found that we could work together comfortably and really truly collaborate. I haven't made a film without Tom on the set now since then, in one capacity or another.
Martin was the first time I had to think of how to fool people into believing what they were actually seeing was happening. The stake in the neck, George said, well, look, we'll just go to a slaughterhouse and get a sheep or a lamb or something and do a close-up of the stake going in there. And I remember saying, no, we can do it so you actually see the guy's face and the stake going in his neck. He says, well, how? I says, I don't know, we'll figure it out. And that's what I mean. That was the first time I had to think of the illusion of special makeup effects.
You weren't supposed to be there. You weren't supposed to be there. You weren't supposed to be there.
But despite his behaviour, the film manages to remain deliberately vague as to whether or not Martin is really a vampire.
That's always been left a little ambiguous. I think it's kind of interesting for people to see it and maybe make a choice for themselves. He was certainly psychologically disturbed. But I don't know whether I want to make a statement as to whether he is or isn't. I think it's better left up in the air.
I warned you, Martin. Nobody in the town, I said. Nobody in the town. I heard about Mrs. Santini. Do you think I believe she killed herself? Do you really think I believe this? Your soul is that, Nosferatu.
Guess the power's not off in this area. Could be nuclear.
What are they doing? Why do they come here?
Some kind of instinct, memory, what they used to do. This was an important place in their lives.
Romero finally returned to the zombies with which he made his name in 1978, 10 years after their first appearance, in the bigger, bolder and bloodier Dawn of the Dead.
The posters for Dawn of the Dead exclaimed, when there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth. Maybe they should have read, when there's no more room in hell, the dead will go shopping, because this is where most of the movie takes place, and the massive Monroeville shopping mall a few miles from downtown Pittsburgh. In the movie, a handful of humans hide out in the storerooms above these shops, while the living dead wander aimlessly around below them, stumbling on the escalators and dragging now useless consumer appliances behind them.
Shooting in the mall was hell. I mean, we couldn't get in there until all the shops were closed, which are not only closed, but cleaned up. And so that meant 10 or 11 at night. And then there was a tavern and a restaurant and a sort of a disco, a little disco that was open until, I think, 2 in the morning, the last play. And we couldn't, we couldn't shoot sound until after that.
For some reason, some society of senior citizens would show up at the mall at like 6 o'clock in the morning for exercise. They would just walk around the mall. So there was this one corner where about 35 senior citizens were walking toward the corner and about 300 hideous zombies, and they met. See, there were no fatalities, fortunately.
It's in Dawn of the Dead that the team of Savini and Romero really came into their own. Although it's more of an action-adventure shocker than straightforward horror film, Romero takes the story of the zombies one logical step further. As society slowly collapses, 4 of the few surviving humans seek refuge in this vast morgue, constantly on guard against the hordes of living dead just waiting for a chance to eat them.
Most of them were assembly line zombies. We would make generic appliances, small, medium, and large, and if you fit that particular size, that's the zombie that you would be.
These creatures cannot be considered human. They prey on humans. They do not prey on each other. That's the difference. They attack and they feed only on warm human flesh. Intelligence, seemingly little or no reasoning power, but basic skills remain are more remembered behaviors from normal life.